the woman who claimed to be the grieving widow wasn't telling the full story? What if the phone call that just leaked doesn't just change the narrative, but completely destroys it? Candace Owens has done it again. She's gone where no one else dared to go, directly after Erica Kirk, the late Charlie Kirk's widow, after a shocking audio recording surfaced online that's now setting the internet on fire. The call allegedly between Erica and a close associate was leaked late last night, and Candace wasted no time tearing it apart line by line. She claims this tape exposes the biggest lie surrounding Charlie Kirk's death, and that the public has been manipulated since day one. People are calling it the audio that changes everything. And whether you believe Owens or not, this leak has reignited every single question about what really happened behind closed doors, who's telling the truth, and who's been covering it up all along. Because if Candace's claims are even half true, this isn't just a scandal, it's a complete unraveling of a story the world thought it already knew.
And I don't really see the reason for that. First and foremost, to let you know, last week was not a dream. Charlie Kirk, my friend, is dead. And he was publicly executed. I want to make that clear. Charlie Kirk was publicly executed before the world.
The moment the leak dropped, social media erupted. Hashtags like number Owens vs. Kirk and number the call started trending within hours. Clips of the audio, some heavily censored, others re-uploaded in pieces, spread across X, YouTube, and even Telegram, where conspiracy channels began dissecting every single second of what was said. Candace Owens immediately took to her own show, claiming the recording was proof of deception at the highest level. She didn't just hint, she stated flat out that the phone call exposed what she called a cold, scripted act from a woman pretending to mourn. Owens accused Erica Kirk of hiding crucial details about Charlie's final days, suggesting that Erica's version of events never added up and that this tape finally proved why. Her tone wasn't cautious, it was surgical. She played segments of the leaked call live on air, pausing only to highlight what she called micro-manipulations and emotional rehearsals. In Candace's words, this wasn't grief, it was performance. But here's where things get murkier. No one knows exactly who leaked the call. Some online sources claim it came from a former family friend, others insist it was part of a quiet internal investigation. Owens herself said she received it through what she called a righteous source, someone who could no longer stay silent. Still, critics point out that without verification, this entire leak could be a setup, one designed to further Candace's ongoing feud with Turning Point insiders and, by extension, with Erica Kirk herself. And that's where this story takes its first twist, because this isn't just about one phone call. It's about an entire movement turning on one of its own. But before diving into what was actually said in that call, we need to understand the players, because without context, this entire firestorm makes no sense.
All right, you guys, we're going to jump right into this with no introduction. There's a lot that I would like to speak with you guys about. Can't wait to hear your feedback. A lot of lies that are being put out there, narratives that I would say are half-truths or just misrepresentations entirely.
To understand how explosive this story truly is, you have to know who these people are and how they're all connected in the first place. Charlie Kirk wasn't just another conservative commentator. He was the founder of Turning Point USA, one of the most influential youth-driven political organizations in America. His wife, Erica Kirk, was often portrayed as his anchor, a poised, graceful woman who appeared beside him at fundraisers, charity galas, and national faith-based events. But behind that perfect image, insiders have whispered for years about friction, rumors of power struggles, jealousy, and control that no one dared to confirm while Charlie was alive. Enter Candace Owens, the firebrand, the disruptor, the one who never stays silent when she smells hypocrisy. Her relationship with the Kirks has always been complicated. At first, she was one of Charlie's loudest allies, sharing stages and podcast microphones, speaking about freedom and faith. But that bond fractured over time as Owens began accusing Turning Point leadership of what she called corporate morality, a clean brand image hiding ugly political dealings behind the scenes. When Charlie Kirk's sudden death shocked the nation, Owens didn't join the chorus of sympathy. She stayed quiet for months. And now, after this leaked phone call, that silence makes sense to her followers. In her words, "I didn't speak because I was waiting for the truth to surface, and now it has." Meanwhile, Erica Kirk has painted herself as the victim of an ongoing smear campaign. She's insisted that she loved her husband deeply and that any theories about her involvement or dishonesty are not only false but cruel. She's described Owens' actions as predatory, attention-seeking, even calling them spiritually abusive. Yet, Candace fires back, saying, "What kind of widow refuses to look for the truth about her husband's death?" This clash isn't just personal, it's ideological. It's the collision between two women who claim to fight for truth but see it through completely different lenses. And that ideological divide is exactly what exploded the moment the phone call went public. Because what's actually inside that audio leak might explain why this feud has turned into a full-blown war. The leaked recording is about 9 minutes long, but those 9 minutes have already caused weeks' worth of chaos. In it, a voice identified as Erica Kirk can allegedly be heard speaking to a close associate about controlling the fallout from her husband's death. The tone is calm, too calm, according to Candace Owens, who called it the least grieving voice I've ever heard. During the call, Erica allegedly discusses upcoming media appearances, how she plans to keep messaging consistent, and most controversially mentions not wanting Tyler involved. Now, Tyler Robinson is the man Owens has repeatedly described as the missing piece. He was a longtime assistant and close friend of Charlie Kirk, someone who vanished from public life almost immediately after the tragedy. In the audio, Erica's voice allegedly says, "He knows too much, and if he starts talking, everything gets messy." Those 10 words are what lit the match. Candace Owens played that very clip on her podcast, stopping mid-sentence to ask her audience, "Why would an innocent widow say that?" But the problem is, no one has verified this tape. Independent analysts haven't confirmed whether it's real, edited, or AI generated. Even so, Owens insists it's authentic, saying she's reviewed metadata and spoken to unnamed sources close to the investigation. Others, especially mainstream journalists, have warned that this could be a carefully crafted fake designed to discredit Erica Kirk or reignite the Turning Point scandal for clicks and views. Yet the emotional power of the recording is undeniable. Thousands of listeners have said they got chills hearing it. Some claimed it felt staged, while others swore they could hear guilt in her tone. On X, one viral comment read, "If that's really Erica, she just admitted to something way darker than we ever imagined." And that's exactly how Candace framed it. In her latest live stream, she said, "This isn't about grief anymore. This is about a cover-up." Those words sent the controversy spiraling into mainstream headlines, forcing even people who had moved on from the tragedy to start asking new questions. But to really understand why Candace went this far, you have to see what she believes is the bigger picture, because to her, this leak isn't just about one call. It's part of something far larger and far more sinister. Candace Owens has never been one to tiptoe around controversy. And this time, she's painting a much bigger picture than anyone expected. On her show, she claimed that the leaked call was only one thread in a web of lies that stretches from Turning Point USA's top brass all the way into political funding circles. According to her, this isn't just about Erica Kirk, it's about what she calls the machinery of manipulation that protected certain people and silenced others the moment Charlie died. She claims that before his death, Charlie was preparing to distance himself from key donors, including some with close ties to pro-Israel lobbying groups. Owens even suggested that one of the last arguments between Charlie and Erica involved his alleged plan to expose corruption in nonprofit funding networks. She cited private messages unverified, of course, that supposedly showed Erica texting a colleague about keeping him focused and avoiding another donor scandal. To her followers, it sounded like the perfect setup for betrayal. But to her critics, it was classic Candace, connecting loose dots to form a shocking but unproven narrative. Still, she doubled down. She said, "It's not about hate, it's about truth. If a man dies trying to speak up, you don't bury his voice to protect your image." Owens also brought up what she called the Tyler factor. She alleged that Tyler Robinson, Charlie's former aide, was silenced or possibly even framed after he threatened to reveal what really happened in the final 48 hours before Charlie's death. She claimed that the leaked phone call proves Erica was terrified of what Tyler might say, pointing again to the quote, "He knows too much." Of course, none of this has been verified. In fact, several outlets have since reported that Tyler was abroad at the time of Charlie's passing, undermining one of Owens's central claims. But the damage is already done, the story is viral, the speculation is unstoppable, and the public now sees Erica Kirk not as a grieving widow, but as a potential mastermind. Owens, meanwhile, has built the moment into a movement. She's telling her audience, don't just listen, investigate, demand truth, don't let money bury morality. It's vintage Candace, combative, emotional, and impossible to ignore. But even as Candace pushes her theory to millions, the backlash is growing, and some of the most powerful names in media are stepping in to shut her down. Within 24 hours of Candace's broadcast, the counterattack was in full swing. Major conservative outlets started issuing quiet retractions of earlier coverage, and Turning Point USA released a carefully worded statement saying they were heartbroken by the misinformation surrounding Charlie Kirk's legacy. Privately, though, sources claim panic was spreading inside the organization. Several staffers allegedly received legal warnings not to speak about the leak or share any version of the audio. Erica Kirk, for her part, finally broke her silence with a short but emotional video. She appeared on camera with trembling hands, calling Candace's comments evil, fabricated, and designed to wound. She insisted that the voice in the tape was not hers and that digital forensics would prove it. Her closing line hit hard. If Candace wants to destroy me for clicks, let her. But don't let her destroy my husband's memory, too. That statement triggered a wave of sympathy online. Supporters flooded Erica's page with messages like, "Stay strong, we believe you." Even some of Owens's former fans started questioning her motives, asking whether she'd crossed a moral line by turning grief into content. Prominent investor Bill Ackman, who had already clashed with Candace on social media, posted a blunt denial of her claim that he'd staged a secret intervention for Charlie over his views on Israel. He called her allegations deranged fiction. Meanwhile, journalists began digging into the timeline. Several noticed inconsistencies in Candace's version of events. The supposed leak date didn't match known phone records. Her cited metadata was incomplete. And no reputable outlet could find the mysterious righteous source she mentioned. Tech analysts even ran voice pattern comparisons, suggesting parts of the tape could have been synthetically altered. Still, none of that seemed to stop the wildfire. Owens's clips kept racking up millions of views, and even skeptics admitted she'd tapped into something raw public distrust. For every person calling her reckless, another was whispering, "But what if she's right?" And that question, what if she's right, is exactly what's making this story so dangerous, because the truth might not even matter anymore. The narrative has already taken on a life of its own. By this point, the situation had spiraled far beyond the actual facts. It wasn't about audio files or metadata anymore. It was about emotion, belief, and power. Candace Owens had weaponized one of the most potent forces in the digital age, outrage. Every clip, every quote, every fiery segment she posted was shared, remixed, and reposted thousands of times. Some viewers didn't even listen to the full recording. They didn't need to. The narrative was already written in their minds. Candace is exposing corruption. Erica is hiding something. The line between investigation and entertainment vanished. YouTubers began releasing analysis videos breaking down the call second by second, while conspiracy pages tied the story to everything from donor cover-ups to alleged political blackmail. Meanwhile, tech-savvy users used AI voice filters to enhance or clarify the leaked audio, only to make it more confusing. No one knew which versions were real anymore. The line between truth and illusion had dissolved completely. For Candace Owens, this was a triumph. Her audience grew by millions. She posted cryptic messages like, "They tried to silence me, but truth doesn't die, it multiplies." Her followers hailed her as fearless, while critics accused her of crossing ethical boundaries that could never be uncrossed. Even those who disliked her admitted she had forced uncomfortable questions into the mainstream. Erica Kirk, on the other hand, began retreating from public life. Reports surfaced that she'd left her home for a private retreat, while her legal team started preparing defamation suits. Friends described her as broken but determined. Some close to her claimed she wasn't just fighting for her reputation, she was fighting to protect what was left of her husband's memory. The sad irony is that by now, Charlie Kirk's own story had become background noise. What started as a tragedy turned into a digital war zone where everyone was trying to own the truth. And in this war, facts were the first casualty. But just when it seemed like the chaos couldn't get worse, something unexpected happened. A leak inside the leak that threw everyone, including Candace herself, completely off balance. It happened just as the first controversy was beginning to cool down. A new file appeared online, anonymously uploaded under the title, The Real Tape. At first, no one took it seriously, but when people clicked play, they heard something that flipped the entire narrative upside down. This new recording wasn't between Erica and her associate, it was allegedly between two of Candace's own producers, discussing how to package the story for maximum impact. One voice could be heard saying, "We'll cut it before the pause makes her sound colder." Another replied, "Perfect. That's the version that'll go viral." Within hours, fake leaks started trending. For the first time, it wasn't Erica under fire, it was Candace. Her critics pounced, claiming she deliberately edited the original tape to manipulate her audience. Screenshots allegedly showing time code mismatches in her version of the recording began circulating. Even some of her